Greetings, everyone. I'm your host, Chris Garris, and welcome to the Transporter Room. Today, I'm joined by David Zappone, an accomplished producer and the president of 455 Films, a Los Angeles based production company renowned for its award winning documentaries. With a passion for Star Trek, Zappone has produced several celebrated projects, including For the Love of Spock, The Captains, and What We Left Behind, looking back at Star Trek Deep Space Nine. As the executive producer and director of To the Journey, looking back at Star Trek Voyager, he led the most crowd-funded documentary ever, raising over $1.26 million, showcasing his ability to connect with fans and deliver compelling, high-quality content. So without further ado, let's beam him in.
Hey, Chris, good to see you.
You too. Thank you for making the time to come on and talk with me this evening. I appreciate it a lot.
No problem. It's a very quiet Friday afternoon here at Paramount, so perfect
That's
timing.
good.
Yeah.
Good, cause my Friday started at 6:30 with lightning damage at where I work.
Well, mine started with a visit to Michael Westmore's home, so I'm happy.
Yeah, I think we need to end this interview now. No. Nah, I'm good. But again, like I said, thank you for joining me tonight, and, I think we're gonna talk a little bit about everything, probably, mainly focus more on the Voyager document and then some decon stuff, and also, like you said, Michael Westmore. And so I do want to start off, by saying, after watching the Voyager documentary, I found it just absolutely fantastic. I mean, I genuinely believe it is going to blow audiences away once it is out there and we get it for everybody. It's just phenomenal.
Well, thank you. We've had some test screenings in New York here at Paramount. We did, LA. We did New York at the Symphony Space, which has a Leonard Nimoy theater. That's why I chose it. And then we did London and the Star Trek cruise. And any day now, could be as soon as tomorrow, our backers will be getting a Vimeo link to the film. So I'm
Nice.
very happy to announce that.
Cool. That's going to make a lot of people happy.
I think so.
W- It will.
We did our usual mistake. We put too much time, too much money into it. I put my own money into the film, believe it or not, because what people don't realize about crowdfunding is that half of it goes to fulfillment. So 1.1 sounds like a great number, but five to $600,000 of that went right out the door with the T-shirts, the buttons, the stickers, the mugs. I mean, it's overwhelming. And we had a crew of I rented the office next door. We had about five people sending out 8,000 items.
Wow.
And then we got hit with the pandemic. Then we got hit with two strikes.
Hmm.
So it was an interesting time. And then 25% inflation. We
Yep.
were bribed by the Chinese government. They charged us an extra $5,000 to get those Janeway mugs out of China. So it's been a
Wow.
journey to the
I
journey.
can yeah, to the journey. Well, and exactly, and that's, that was something you skipped ahead on my list. But yes, that's exactly what I was gonna say. It was, I know there's been a ton of criticism about this, but ag again, you just nailed you had 2 strikes and a pandemic.
Yeah, California was essentially shut down for 2 years.
Exactly. And, it's just, and they lasted for months, and I've still, with my channel alone, I've interviewed other people that work in the industry, and one of the one of the people I've talked to told me there's a list of 75-page list of, like, art directors and all those type of stuff that need work still
Well,
to this day.
it's funny you say that because Michael Westmore and I were speaking about this morning, and he said that a lot of the construction guys and crew are moving out of LA, and I am in something that's called the Dryer Building at Paramount Studios. I've been here since 2011, and I am I'm across from Stage 18 where they did DS9, and I'm above 8 and 9, which were all the bridges from TNG through the Chris Pine Star Trek were filmed. Every bridge. And I'm the only person in the building right now.
Wow.
I'm it. Many
And
days
I've
it's like
heard that.
this. Yeah. And
Yeah, I've
I
heard
park in the famous blue tank, and there's usually 3 or 4 cars. When Michael and I were saying he left in 2005 with Enterprise, I started here, my first company, in 2006. You couldn't even get a parking space. You had to valet. Now, so it's kind of sad. It really is.
I've heard that from other people that say especially like Paramount and other studios are ghost towns.
Yep. Total ghost town. I never thought I would see this in a million years.
God, that's such a shame. That was Hollywood.
Hmm.
Well, maybe there will be some miracle will happen and it'll start coming back, but I
Well, that's
just
why I'm hoping projects. We jumped right into Westmore after finishing Voyager. I think Westmore is going to be huge. He's a terrific man. And I got the whole idea by interviewing him for Voyager.
that's I was gonna ask you, so what inspired well, first off, what inspired you to make this Voyager documentary?
Well, Voyager, I came up with the concept just to do another, essentially, what we left behind. In 2019, we struggled to find funding, and I funded it myself in the beginning because we didn't do the crowdfunding until a year later. And we went on, we had the good, thank God for Lolita Faccia. She's been my savior. I don't know if you know her. You
Oh,
do.
yeah.
Yeah, she
I've
was
met
worked
Lolita.
on Star Trek for like 17 years. And she got us on the Star Trek cruise on March 3rd, maybe. And we got back around the 8th. And by the 11th, the whole world shut down in 2020. So the only thing that saved us is we were able to get at least that only in person meeting for the 25th anniversary. And then a year later, I said, let's try crowdfunding. And it could have gone either way because people were shut down, they were out of work. But I think there was a hunger for entertainment. So we did well. But then it took another over LA stayed closed the longest, I think, in the country. And we didn't every time we tried to reopen, the mask mandates would come back. You can't interview somebody in a mask. Um, and then that ended, and then the strikes happened, and no one would cross the picket line. I'm a producer, so I was allowed. I'm also in the DGA, but um, this was a documentary, so I wasn't crossing a line because I support the union. But no one else would cross the picket line, so I was all alone here in at Paramount.
Man, well, that's well, I will say this, and that's one thing I have to really commend 455 and your staff for, because when the world shut down, y'all could have said, "Well, we'll just do it all via Zoom." And you said no
Nope. There's one Zoom
because
shot in that entire film.
yeah, and you stayed the course and did those interviews, which is why this thing is going to be is the quality that it is.
We could have put out a quickie film, but I just
Yeah.
won't do that. And we got lucky. I think in 2022, LA opened up for a period of 2 weeks, and then they closed down again. But total luck. Within that 2 weeks, we were able to build the stage and get most of those interviews you see.
Mm,
Total luck.
wow.
And Kate
Golly.
Mulgrew, uh, we were only able to get her in England. We couldn't even get her in the US. We got her for 21 minutes in England. And then she came up to me after the New York premiere. She's a wonderful woman, by the way. Awesome. And everybody in the cast was terrific. And she said, David, I really am not happy with what I gave you. So would it be possible for you to interview me again? Now, this is January of 25. And we still did it. Went out there on my birthday in January and we did it because I'm not saying no to the captain.
Hell no. You don't tell Kate no.
She is one commanding woman, let me tell you right now. There's no acting. And this, by
I
the way, was
agree.
one of our most popular items. This was the replica Janeway mug. And we had a gentleman named Paul Camuso who also works for Bill Shatner, and he found the original designer and the company in China, and that's what we had to pay to get out of China. But those have been, I think, the most popular item.
I believe it. I have the actual just the regular coffee cup, the, to the journey coffee mug I bought from you guys, which it's a nice mug, but yeah,
Oh, this thing's amazing.
I know. I didn't buy it. I thought about it.
Are you going to be in Vegas this year at the Creation Convention?
No, I won't. I'll be in Chicago. I won't be in Vegas this year. I timing just doesn't work out for me to go. And I was curious about. I know. So, other than Kate's interview, additional content since the screening on the cruise, have y'all added anything else to the added or subtracted to
Since the
since the
cruise,
cruise?
yes, we've added some more Kate, fixed the credits. We took some notes from people. That's what, again, I think a lot of the angry fans don't understand is that we've taken the comments
Yeah,
and we made adjustments,
gotcha.
but nothing wholesale. The biggest mistake we made in the beginning is that we had a little too much Garrett, and we fixed that. But that was after the initial three screenings. So the cruise showed the version. I mean, we have. I don't want to spoil it, but
Yeah, don't.
Tim Russ has a very interesting phone call. Let's put it that way, an out of this world phone call. Yeah,
We'll just leave it at that.
let's leave it at
Everybody's
that.
just gonna have to watch it.
Yep,
They're gonna have to watch it. And, so now that we know when the backers will be getting the Vimeo roughly,
it's going to be
very,
any
very
day.
soon.
We just finished
Yeah.
it. It could be tomorrow. I just
Yeah.
don't want to say for sure,
No, absolutely
but
not.
it's within days.
Yeah,
And
that's
one of
good.
the reasons I don't know, I think you might have met Joe Cornbrough, my co-director.
I've not personally met him, but I know who he is.
Well, he's moving on Monday to Scotland. So that was the reason for the delay. Everybody's angry, I know, but life interferes. And his wife is from Wales and they decided to move. So I won't move my computer, but I have all of our drives, everything going back to William Shatner's Gonzo Ballet stuck in my office now because we had to close the one next door. And by the way, you didn't mention the captains.
Well, that's a valid point. It did not mention that, but it's another great movie.
Yeah, I mean, I did a lot with Shatner. Got to plug the Captain's Collection, our Blu-ray. We did about 10 different documentaries.
Yeah. Well, and actually what's funny, before I ever, when we start talking about getting together, I actually because I was trying to find out where they at. Because I think when I met you back in November out in
Oh
LA,
yeah, I have your address right here. I owe you the Blu-rays. I have not forgotten.
yes, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
You'd asked me if I'd ever seen what we left behind, and then to the point I was like, at that time I'd only seen some bootleg copy on YouTube,
the
but
bane of
I
my
and so
existence. Yeah,
yeah. Well, I was searching around and I didn't realize that the Captains and DS9 are all on Amazon Prime.
yeah, and I believe they're free.
Oh, yeah, they're included. So
Yeah,
before we did this, before we, when we start talking, I sat down and watched because it'd been a while. The Captains and again DS9, with a nice HD version instead of the YouTube version.
yeah. I
And
mean, this is
God, I
what
just
the deliverables used to look like. These are tapes. So, yeah, I mean, that's what you're watching, but now we've upgraded all those to HD. Yeah.
well, and so yeah, I watched them again, and I'd forgotten how good the Captains was, and then
Especially the close-ups. Those get lost in the mix. We did 5 individual episodes called The Captain's Close-Up. And what we did is we had so much material, we took 1 episode for each captain, combining Chris Pine and Bill as Kirk. But I would highly recommend anybody who's looking forward to Voyager get that because Kate Mulgrew's half hour is one of the best things I've ever done.
okay, I'm gonna
Avery
have to go
Brooks,
watch that.
when Avery watched it, he called me and said he cried. He was so moved.
I believe that
Those are the half
100%.
hours. And again, you can find that 10 hours of content uncut scenes or cutout scenes, additional interviews. It's called the Captain's Collection. It's all everything I ever did with William Shatner, going back to Gonzo Ballet, which was our documentary on his Ben Folds record was turned into a ballet. Only Bill.
Oh my god. Well, I will definitely find links to all those and put them on here when I'm,
Sure,
we're
I'd
editing.
appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll definitely do that. And so I'm assuming then, because I think y'all, it was a question during Virtual TrekCon, and is that the special features will only be on the Blu-ray, correct?
No, that's not correct.
Oh,
What we're going to
really?
do is we're once we finish those, we're going to send those out as a digital download and on the Blu-ray.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
I
That's
don't remember saying that in the virtual TrekCon, but
I don't I think Joe might have alluded to it
well, look,
maybe.
technology is changing so fast.
Exactly.
We're
Exactly.
going to do the best we can, but we were able to do it for what we left behind, so I don't see why we couldn't do it here. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's great because, like I said, that was just it was I remember it was a question in the live chat, and it was just I think at the time, that was, like, in February or March whenever, so it's been a while, and so at that time, y'all were still, working your butts off to get this thing going,
And
so,
people think
yeah,
455s is this huge
I
conglomerate.
about
We
died when
are
you told me.
we're about 4 people.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
full time because we hire people like Jonathan West is the director again of Westmore and the photographer of What We Left Behind and Voyager. Uh, but he's freelance, so we bring in the same people time and time again, like Dennis McCarthy, the brilliant Emmy-winning composer that did DS9, did the music for the film. I try to be loyal to because I'm such a fan. It's just an honor for me to work with these people. I have yet to meet anyone from Star Trek production that I didn't like. We had Herman Zimmerman sitting in this office in a corner doing this set for What We Left Behind. I'm like, Herman, do you want my chair? Oh no, Dave, I'm fine. I mean, just to see a legend, sitting in the corner. But yeah, everybody's been so supportive.
that's awesome. And like I said, I've seen the most recent episode, the version, and it's great. I mean, every minute of it. I mean, I got it and I sat there and watched it that night
Good, thank you.
when I got the link. And
I've watched it so many times now. I never get bored, and I get moved
no,
every time.
no, I can't either. It's
And again, when you
amazing.
see naysayers, remember it's the people that are unhappy that usually post. We have
Yeah,
11,000 backers. Most of them understand.
absolutely. 100%. I've seen that. So now that I know, so now we got some good information on the Voyager. What new stuff, what other exciting upcoming works, and we've already been chit-chatting a little bit, but do you have this 455 have coming out?
Well, we've got exciting studio guests coming up for the Decon Chamber. The Decon Chamber is going to go forward. We are not giving up. I mean, everyone knows podcasts are not a gold mine, but we all enjoy it creatively. We've got, as you and I discussed, John Billingsley. And what we've decided to do, and I'd be curious to see in your comments what people think, is instead of just doing a watch party and having the show play and commenting, bringing in somebody from that episode. Like John Billingsley is Dear Doctor. So we're not quoting every scene. It's more just a discussion between the three boys. The boys, I call them the boys. I'm their age. Uh, but yeah, so that is going to be exciting. We're going to have some exciting new tiers and things to announce at the Vegas convention. We're doing a panel for Decon in Vegas, and it's a panel for Westmore. Uh, and I don't know if it's going to come to fruition or not because, again, it got gutted by the shutdowns. But we tried to film, and again, everyone did this for free. We tried to film, we have a lot of Nana visitors' interviews filmed for her book. What was it? Hailing Frequencies Open, I think they called it. She published a book on the women of Star Trek. We called it the women of Star Trek at the time. but we're going to try to do something with that. But right now, our goal is finishing Westmore. Michael's 87. I want it done. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be cool, and I mean, we talked about that. It was the live chat one back in VTC. Obviously, everybody. I mean, it was funny to watch it. Everybody's like, "Enterprise, Enterprise, Enterprise." They want an Enterprise documentary so bad.
Well, look, it all depends on if we keep getting the support. If people support us and I can show a studio, because let me tell you something, Paramount has no interest in Star Trek documentaries. I am the only one in this lot working on Star Trek, just me. They loved To the Journey, but it just doesn't fit in with their programming. And they're in the midst of being sold.
Yeah, that's causing a lot of problems right now.
Oh, you're telling me. So I just need people to show their support. Now we are going to vary a little bit and get some non-Trek guests, but sci-fi genre. I don't want to give the exact cast members out yet, but we're going to be having a Lost in Space 60th reunion podcast coming up, which I'm very happy about. I
That's
mean,
gonna
you
be
can't see
cool.
it shiny, but I've got a signed picture of the cast of Lost in Space there in front of Zach Quinto.
Yeah, that's gonna be. I mean, well, I don't. I'm trying to think how I can say this, and I can
You could
edit it.
talk about seeing Moomy because you were there. I mean,
Yeah, I'm just
Moomy
trying
was
to
terrific.
that was, I was, I don't want to say lucky. I got the as being a Patreon member of the Decon Chamber at the level that I'm at, one of the benefits is getting to go out to the studio and actually attend a recording. And the one I got that with timing was the one with Bill Mooney in November, last November. And that was just so cool. I
He's a
mean,
legend.
I mean, and just to literally, I didn't say a whole lot because, first time in LA, first time to meet Connor and Dom, first time, lots of firsts. So I'm
You're
just
in a
take
movie studio, yeah.
yeah, I'm just taking stuff in, but he's just a normal guy, 100%.
I met him through Ira Stephen Bear. They've been neighbors for 20 years, and we had him in What We Left Behind.
Yeah, I saw that. And and even Connor and Dom were just flabbergasted at just how chill, and he's no pretension at
None,
all.
none,
Like,
none. And the other Lost in Space cast members are the same way.
yeah. So anyway, yeah. So that was a great experience, and hopefully, one of these days I'll get to do that again. We'll see. Just gotta.
Yeah, and then we just had David Dastmalchian. I never get that name, the
Yeah, I'm not
pronunciation.
going to even try and say that
Yeah,
name.
I tried, but he was terrific. What a story about
Ah,
his life and what he's been through. So
that
you, you learn so much.
that interview, I made comments on the Patreon side as well. That was, and I think I actually probably even emailed the channel or something, just like said that I don't. That's like that was probably one of the best interviews that they have done
I'll
so
buy
far
that
because of the content.
because of his honesty.
Yes,
Yeah,
it was just
and
like,
everybody loves a story of redemption and a comeback, and he gave
yeah,
us all that.
yeah, it was great. I woke up early. I always wake up every now and then just to watch the Patreon version for before the YouTube stream, just to see what's going on, and also just
Believe
because
it or not, I finished those like I finished pulling the stills yesterday. I mean, that's the quick turnaround on those.
yeah, and so that was a great episode. So
Yeah, but the problem is, Chris, the podcast world has become so crowded. But we've got a loyal fan base, and we're hoping in Vegas to just expand it again because Vegas is a really good venue for us. Yeah, 25,000 fans, and I also want to tie it into promotion with most of the Voyager actors have already said yes, so we're going to be getting all the Voyager actors to cross promote. The one I'm most excited about is Johnny Phillips. God, he cracks me up.
I am struggling. I to not just I don't know. I may figure out how to come out there for it. Honestly, if I do, it'll literally be almost like my LA trip out and back within like
Well,
48.
if you can, let me know. because
Yeah,
we'll have a table there. We'll be there, and we'll be
yeah,
on stage.
yeah. I'm anyway. I'm just gonna. I've
I love it. I've been every year. My first one was 2010 at the Hilton for the captains, and I haven't missed one since.
well, I yeah. I'm gonna figure it out. I don't know. Uh,
I would. It's. I've been this. Well, I let me qualify that. My two favorite convention experiences are Vegas and the cruise. The Star Trek cruise is phenomenal.
I will be on there next year. I'm going on the 2026 crew.
I hope to be on there. We'll see.
You got to be on there because
Yeah,
that actually.
I've been on four, so
I'm just gonna say this now. It's the 25th anniversary Enterprise. Probably the whole cast will be there. You might be able to wrangle them up.
well, I think we could get them all. I mean, we had a great episode with Scott Bakula. We're going to have Linda Park. We had Billingsley, and really, Anthony Montgomery will be on. I just had dinner with him. Um, we really are just looking for Jolene. You kind of need Jolene.
Hey, she did lower decks.
Yeah, I know. I saw that.
So never we at this point.
Anything's possible.
That's
Never
right.
say never.
Never say never because we
Yeah.
thought she would never come back.
In
And
the words of one of my actors from my other favorite franchise, James Bond, never say never.
yep. Oh man. Oh, I I forgot to ask this earlier. On the Voyager doc, there was a couple of scenes. I meant to ask you this. Did y'all recreate any of those scenes or did you upscale them?
No, we upscaled a lot of them. We recreated, don't quote me on all of them, but two for sure. The crash landing of Voyager, that's all new, into the snow planet, and the captain's yacht, which was not seen in the television series. And we recreated the opening sequence.
Yeah, I was curious because I was like, man, that is so crystal clear.
We couldn't afford the music, unfortunately, and CBS got rid of between what we left behind and To the Journey. They got rid of all their telecines. I'm not using the right technical term, but it's essentially the machine that converts negatives to digital. They closed the whole department, so there was no way for us to do the same thing.
Golly, that's such.
But AI does
Oh,
seem to be working. It looks great on the big screen.
oh yeah. And speaking of big screen, I think we talked about this a little bit, but you obviously I'm assuming y'all are trying to work with Fathom to
We are.
okay,
I just talked to Shatner's office. They're going to get me a contact. So yeah.
cool. That's gonna make
Deep Space Nine did incredible business for them.
mhm.
It was sold out everywhere.
Hell yeah. As Star Trek fans, we like our movies.
Well, I don't think people consider, even though they tried to sell it as one, and please forgive me, I might alienate some of the newer audience, but Section 31 to me was not a Star Trek film.
I'm just gonna say, and this is what I did on one of my reviews. It was James Bond. No, sorry, Mission Impossible meets Star Trek. That was the best way and as a movie, not Star Trek. It was okay. I enjoyed it. It was a movie. It had action and all that stuff.
I'm too old school. I started watching Star Trek in 1975. So I've paid my dues. And I'm really one of those people that responds to the utopian future of Roddenberry. And when they start to get dystopian, it loses me.
Yeah. Well, and that's what the problem was. If you all the negativity that was out there, but the only the one thing, and a lot of people have said this is, even though we may have not liked it, we've got to watch it. This is the only way.
No, we don't.
Really?
No,
Well,
I don't.
and the reason why I say that is just because if for this on the streaming side, if you don't at least give the metrics, we're afraid they may not make anything else.
But my problem, I'm the father of a 5-year-old, and we've watched every episode, and I'm not exaggerating. And I think you met her
Oh yeah,
when,
I saw
yeah,
her.
yeah, you saw her because she loves Lost in Space too. We've watched every episode of TNG and the original. Got that far. So she's met all those actors. It's been terrific. She's met Bill, but she knows them all. When I started watching Picard, even you've got severed heads, you've got swearing. I
Yeah.
can't. You
I
can't
I
watch it with a 5-year-old, and that was never true of Star Trek.
yeah, I probably alienate some people here as well, but there was no reason for the admiral to tell Picard.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I was like, "That's
But let me qualify that because I'm friends with all of them. I did like a lot of season 3, and I especially love the finale.
oh, Terry."
And I love Terry Metalis. He's in To the Journey.
Yeah, he knocked season 3 out of the park.
Yep, yep. So I
100%.
want to give him credit.
Oh, no, season 3, uh, mm,
It's just as a dad, I started watching Star Trek when I was 7 or 8 with my dad. It's disappointing, and this doesn't just go for Star Trek, by the way. It's everything. Uh, you can't watch anything with your kid anymore.
mm-mm. And it's sad that you can't watch Star Trek with your kid anymore.
Not the new ones, no. No, all the old ones. Matter of fact, I don't know how we got on it. It might have showed up in my YouTube feed. She wanted to see the Twilight Zone. So we watched Nightmare at 20,000 feet, the thing on the wing. And she loved it. Because again, for a kid, it's suspenseful but not scary.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I sent a message one time on the Patreon about and just asking, why was and it had to have been her because the way what you just saying, I think. I asked, why are we getting the censored version of the podcast on the Patreon site since it's being paid for? And
It's me.
yeah, and then and the but I appreciated the response and it made sense because whoever responded
Would have been probably Goldie. Yeah.
said, we've got children who want and that as soon as I read that, I was like,
I'm a very strong believer in that. Actually, Billingsley just set the record for beeps. I'll tell you that. That was funny. But no, Star Trek Enterprise is that's a little rougher, but it's still appropriate for children for the most part. And why would we make content about something that kids can watch?
and yeah, absolutely. As soon as I got the response, totally respected it because it made 100% sense to me. And I'm like, oh, no problem.
I mean, I my attitude, as Spock would say, could be called parochial, but I'm sorry. That's what I feel. I feel we should not forget children.
You know, and it makes sense. And that's why even on this podcast, you might get but that's about it, if
Well,
even
this is
that.
different, Chris. You're not dealing with the episode specifically.
Well, but I still because I don't know, and I'm probably gonna beep what I just said because I don't know who is watching it. And I want to at least make it so they can. And you were right. I interviewed John as well.
Yeah, he dropped a few. I'll bet.
I spent some time. I probably took me. I don't even know
Yeah,
about
I forget what the count is. He set a record though.
it probably took me 2 hours to listen and get everything right to make sure I could just I don't do the beeps. I just mute it real quick. I dip it, but I'm like and then yeah, he made a comment about and it was so funny. I asked him, I said, so what's Scott like? Scott Bakula like? And he sat there and he goes, "That bleep 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 bleep." I'm like, "Oh my god, did I?" And then he was just joking. He's
He's
like, "He's
kidding.
the yeah, he
No, I mean
would."
it's all in good fun, and I think with the bleeps, I think it adds a little humor. It's
It
funny.
does. It's so, but that's funny. When I saw that when they y'all posted that he was coming on, I was like, "Oh man, they're gonna be busy on the button this time."
Like when we did the captains, I'm going back, or Chaos on the
Yeah,
Bridge, and that's another one I highly recommend. Bill and I, that's been kind of forgotten, but it's on the captain's collection. Bill and I did an hour on the first 3 seasons of TNG, and Bill did all the interviews. We had everybody. I interviewed Patrick actually. That was a thrill. But yeah, I mean, I shouldn't say forgotten. I mean, they all had their run, but it's been 12, 15 years, and there's a lot of content out there.
that was a lot of content. It's
Yeah.
thousands of there's 1,000
But yeah,
episodes.
this was never an issue until recently.
Yeah. Oh, I
Yeah.
agree. Oh,
But
man.
again, as a dad, I'm gonna stand by it.
And that I agree with you. I totally agree with you. So, and I yeah, after I as soon as they said because we may have children watching this, done. I was done. That's
Good,
total.
thank you, Chris.
I
Yeah.
appreciate it, and never say anything again. And that again, that's why I do mine. I just we bleep them out and be done with it.
And the
Because
other thing we did that was interesting, we were getting, like Mike Sussman, the writers,
oh yes,
which I found that to be one of the most interesting
hmm
episodes because you heard the whole story about nine
yeah,
11, how they had to shut down
yep,
that day.
hmm
I love going deep.
yeah. Well, and that's what I've always liked about the show with the episodes is because, and that's why I do what I do. I don't focus on initially the Star Trek. I want to know about the person, their backgrounds, da 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 da. Generally
Yeah.
speaking, and then
The
we'll get
episodes are there. You could go and watch the episodes.
yeah,
Though we want to learn something new.
yeah, and then we do the start. That's what Liz Klakowski. She was like, "Man, like you actually asked
Yeah, I
me."
just met her. She's very nice.
Yeah, she's like, "You asked me other things." Basically, she was like, "Other than Star Trek." Like we talked about Quantum Leap and American Primeval,
Yeah.
other stuff that she's worked on.
Yeah,
Just
like we're hopefully going to get the Andre and Marie Giacomontone. I know I butchered that too. And Maria, they
mhm.
were writers on Enterprise, and they went on to Mad Men.
Oh,
So
nice.
I'm hoping very much to get them as a guest.
Well, that'd be great. Well, Dave, I think this has been awesome, man. I'm glad we got to talk and get to catch up and also get some, future content out for people. So I'm going to try and get this one. My editor's going to shoot me tomorrow because I'm going to be like,
Okay.
"Hey, get this one out pretty
Oh, I
quick."
got a plane coming over. There it goes.
It's
Yeah.
okay. I'm be like, "Let's get this one out a little bit faster."
Yeah, I appreciate it because Voyager will
That's
be out.
why.
People can still go on to
Yep.
voyagerdocumentary.com and you can still buy a backer screen of it. Right now, we're in the process of trying to sell it. And again, with this new market, it is a heck of a lot tougher than I thought it would be, even for something that's so well reviewed. But it's going to happen. I have no doubt. We've done things that no one else has ever done in a Star Trek documentary. I mean, sending Garrett into zero G, I can announce that's been announced enough. Uh, like they just did a Blue Origin flight. I think they were in space, the four women, for 11 minutes. He was up there for 90. Yeah. And did experiments, did all kinds of stunts. I mean, it's a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, he did. It was like that was cool to watch that episode, and I'm waiting to next time I'm in a meeting with him, I can finally ask him about it.
Garrett, well, we even because I'm here at Paramount, we took a weekend and we did a whole reminiscing, which you saw in the documentary, around the lot. That's the other unique position I'm in. I'm the only one that can really get on here and shoot
Yeah,
with impunity or at a reasonable price because I've been here. But this really is where, even though now it's moved on to Canada, Paramount is where, going back to Desilu in 1966, that's when Star Trek started, all the way
absolutely.
up through J.J. Abrams' 2009.
Mhm. And something a lot of people, I always joke with some people that are like, Star Trek versus Star Wars, da 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 da. I'm like, you realize we actually need to still kind of thank Star Wars because that's what made Paramount make Star Trek, the motion picture.
Well, it turned it from being phase two, the series,
Yes,
into a full blown motion
movie.
picture.
Yeah.
And it gave us Moonraker from James Bond, too,
Yeah.
actually.
So
Yeah.
the fans kind of owe George Lucas for doing that.
Yeah.
So
By the way, let
I'm
me
sorry.
just leave you with one thought. I don't want to diss Paramount at all. I think it's their programming model right now, but they love the film, gave me a fair license. I'm probably the only person outside of a Paramount because I don't work for Paramount. I have my own company. Gave me the right to use all the clips, all the imagery, and Star Trek in the title.
Nice.
That is not typical. You'll see a lot of other knockoff documentaries, with different titles and things.
Mhm.
But no, they've been very good to me. I have no problem with Paramount
Oh, yeah. No, it's just the
or
industry.
CBS.
Yeah. It's just the industry right now.
It's the industry. Yeah, it's just going to take a little longer. That's
Yeah.
all.
All right. Well, thank you for your
Thank
time,
you.
And I will talk to you soon, Dave. You have a good one.
Did you have any idea that this is where it would take you? Way back when you first
No,
started?
and I'm glad I didn't have any idea. Had I had some idea, I think I might have been a bit more, I might have had more consternation. As it is, I was shot out of a cannon, and that was just right for me.
We knew that we were taking some risks.
The decision was to develop a show that had a female captain.
We wanted to bring something new to the Gene Roddenberry universe.
Voyager was going to launch the UPN network.
There's news about the newly signed captain for the Star Trek Voyager series. Geneviève Bujold today resigned from the role only a few days into production.
The fact that we had already started shooting a multi-million-dollar 2-hour pilot, oh my God, what are we going to do?
You're the first Starfleet commander, the first female. It's a huge responsibility.
Yeah.
When Jennifer got fired, didn't feel safe anymore.
We suddenly had this gorgeous actress. She got a tremendous amount of attention.
You would have to be dead inside not to feel resentment.
She adds that element of conflict to every relationship on the ship.
This has changed my life. It's about an epic gesture, both of the imagination and of science.
It's about hope.
And I think people need that.
Welcome to Star Trek The Cruise. Starting off with Voyager, and it's very exciting, 25 years of Voyager. So let's kick it off, let's get started.
We're here because this is the 25th anniversary of Star Trek Voyager. We had almost our entire crew here.
Years before Voyager or any of the shows, I worked on Roots, The Gift. And I had one day where I worked with Kate Mulgrew, Avery Brooks, and LeVar Burton. That was years before Voyager.
Did we have a scene together?
No, we did not have a scene together.
I knew William Shatner before he knew I was ever going to be part of this world, too. We did a movie of the week together. And I wasn't, sorry, at that time, a Trekkie or anything. I really didn't know him well. The only, did I hear a gasp in the audience? Oh, my God.
I wanted to ask, what is your favorite creative pursuit after Voyager? Something you're really proud of that you really loved working on?
For as little as $5 per month, you can gain early access to the full ad-free versions of all interviews, plus additional exclusive content by joining Patreon.